Welcome to another Foolish Thoughts episode. This is Joseph Barone, aka A Fool for Learning, and our foolish thought for today is getting feedback, a reseller tip. Now, if you're selling on eBay, receiving positive feedback is very important. It's the core part of your reputation as a seller. It lets buyers know that they are purchasing from a reputable person. On eBay, every user, every buyer has the opportunity to leave feedback for a transaction they took part in. This means that not only can the buyer leave feedback, but the seller can also leave feedback for each and every transaction. And the really nice thing is the feedback is public. Now, this should instill some sort of confidence with the buyer that the product purchase will be as described and hopefully shipped on time. But of course, not every transaction goes perfectly. Sometimes something is beyond your control. For example, an item that I sold was shipped over 1,000 miles in the wrong direction before it got to the buyer, courtesy of the U.S. Postal Service. Of course, the buyer was not happy and did not leave a stellar review for me. Of course, once the item is in the hands of the Postal Service, it's really out of my control. Now, other times a customer may not feel that the item was described properly. This happened to me with the selling of a set of silver-plated silverware, which belonged to my mother. Even though I felt that I had described the item accurately and provided several photos, the buyer felt that I was not completely honest in my posting. When I started reselling, I would once in a while get feedback, and it was a bit disheartening to say the least because I knew a lot of positive feedback was one way to help sell. So one day, I sold a couple of LaserJet toner cartridges for a printer that I no longer had and was no longer manufactured. After the transaction, the buyer contacted me. He stated that he had left positive feedback for me as the seller and asked if I would leave positive feedback for him as a buyer. And it suddenly dawned on me, that light bulb went off, that if I wish to increase my feedback as a seller, I would need to reach out to each and every buyer and ask for it. It was a simple solution to the problem, and I really wish that I had thought of it. So once a transaction has been completed and the buyer receives the item, within 48 to 72 hours, if I do not receive feedback, I'll write to them and I'll state to them, hey, as a buyer, as you as the buyer, writing to them, that I've left you positive feedback. And as the seller, being me, if you're satisfied with the item that you purchased, can you please leave positive feedback for me? Once I started to do that, I started to see my feedback increase. Instead of getting feedback on one out of every maybe 4 or 5 transactions, I'm now getting them on an average of at least 1 or 2, if not higher. Now, of course, there is much more which goes into the entire feedback process. But by doing this one simple trick, asking for feedback, it will improve your standing as an eBay seller. I hope you've learned something. And so if you have learned something, please take a moment to like, comment, subscribe, or even share with a friend. This is Joseph Barone, aka A Fool for Learning, signing out. Remember, learn, perform, succeed.